What's up, everybody? Welcome to SLC Puck. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited about episode 51. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Austin Facer. Lions, Tigers, Bears, ball hockey, fights, the Colorado Avalanche, all this and more on today's episode of SLC Puck. Your goofiest, your silliest hockey podcast celebrating Halloween all October long with silly costumes, decorations in the background. And yeah, we talk about hockey too. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. It's just a little hockey. Mostly fun, a little hockey. Maybe that's the slogan for the show. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, episode 50 was the last episode. And man, it was a lot of fun. We had a great celebration. We had big balloons. It was a joyous time. I'm having a lot of fun doing the show right now, covering the Utah hockey scene, the Utah Hockey Club. We talk a little Grizzlies. We talk a little this and that, the larger community picture that goes on with hockey in the Beehive State. So big thanks to you guys for tuning in. If you like the show, if you think it's good, if you think it's silly, if you think it's worth your while, and maybe it's not, I don't know. But in case you think it is, what you can do to support me more than anything, like, comment, subscribe. That's super, super helpful. And I'm not asking for a lot. That doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to do something that does cost you something, what you could do, and this is a big help, guys, you could head over to my merch shop right here, slcpuck.shop. I've got a lot of great stuff for you. Some light outerwear options as we get into the cooler seasons. Lots of good stuff here. Sweatshirts, crew necks, t-shirts, stickers, pieces of flair for those of you who are fans of the movie Office Space. And I know if you don't know what that movie is, you should. It's a really good movie. Hats, all that good stuff. It's all available at slcpuck.shop. So go ahead and check that out, guys. But let's get going here. Hey, are we feeling all right? Are we bummed out, guys? Are we coping with things well? I know last episode, episode 50, I was feeling a bit euphoric. I was feeling a bit, I guess like I was having an out-of-body experience. Like everything was so surreal. The Utah Hockey Club's start to the season, 4-1-1 the first 6 games. Man, that was thrilling. So the title of last week's episode was, is this scripted? Like, is what's happening real? And yeah, it is real. We had our real back-to-earth moment last night with the Utah Hockey Club losing 4-0 to the Ottawa Senators at home. Making history, though. Hey, history made. First ever home loss in the regular season. So those of you who bought the $25 commemorative puck, you know, you can tell your grandchildren you were at the first ever home loss for the Utah Hockey Club. So that's that. That's cool. And then tomorrow, or whenever you're listening to this, Thursday, the 24th, is this the start of the rivalry against the Colorado Avalanche? Ooh, I don't know. I'll give you more thoughts on that in just a bit. But to start the show, and I know you guys come to me for like razor sharp commentary, for analytics, for ticky-tack stuff, for strategy. We get really great. We take it seriously here, folks, at SLC Puck. But I thought we'd maybe start the show off on a lighter note. And this was something that was just a real delight to watch on social media. So let me just flip over to the second screen. If you're listening to me on Apple or Spotify, you're missing the visuals, baby. Hop on over to YouTube. But let me just show you what I'm talking about. This video here was great. So this is the Utah Hockey Club at Family Skate at the Delta Center a couple days ago. And what you're seeing, it looks brutal. It looks pretty savage. But from what I can tell, I think these are actually just a couple of chums having a bit of fun here. You see, this is Michael Kesselring on the left. He was the star of the Boston game, right? We all remember that. Little guy right there, that's Michael Carcone's son. I think his name is Eli. And you can see here, they get into it. They start throwing blows. They start getting into a little bit of a tilt. That's a hockey term for a fight. You call it a tilt. You'll sound like you know what you're talking about. But I really want to start the show by breaking down this fight. And this is something I've talked about on previous episodes. I've gotten into the why of fighting, the how of it, the mechanics. We talked about fighting technique to a certain degree. So I thought we'd break down little Eli's fighting technique against Michael Kesselring right here. And this video is playing on a loop right here. So let's start over. What I like, first of all, is the glove toss. It's more than simply dropping the gloves. Little Eli throws the gloves at Kesselring as if to say, like it or not, Michael, I'm coming after you, and it's not going to be a good time. And you can see it. We'll wait for it to loop around right here. You see they're friends in the end. But it goes down. The gloves hit the ice. Kesselring goes to challenge. I don't know what Kesselring's doing, by the way. I don't know what that. He looks like a lion. He looks like he should be like in a lion costume, doing musical theater or something. I got to tell you, Michael, if you fight like that in the National Hockey League, you're gonna have a bad time. So I really hope for Michael Kesselring's case, this is not the fighting technique that he's gonna employ in an NHL game. But you see here, the fighting gets going. Kesselring cowering in fear. Little Eli's just taking him to task here. And there's a lot of things that I think are kind of interesting. You don't really see a lot of body blows when it comes to fighting in hockey. I think it's mostly a lot of shots to the chops, to the chin, to the jaw. But Eli, I think, is doing a lot of interesting things here. And again, like working the hip is an interesting choice. You see he's going for some kidney rib shots there. Working the body, it's a lot of old school boxing technique here. I think it's a little more boxing than it is hockey fighting. But again, it's looping around. We could watch this 500 times. This should maybe be just the entire episode, is watching this on a loop and talking about it. But again, I think we see a lot of good stuff here from little Eli Carcone. I think that's his name from what I could tell in a quick Google search. But his dad, Michael Carcone, loves that. See, they're chumming it up at the end. You know what's interesting is you from time to time you might actually see that in the NHL where two guys who fight will actually like fist bump each other, like either on the ice or like in the hallway in the locker room, because it's understood that fighting is just a part of the game and there's a certain gentlemanly respect there afterwards. But so anyway, it's good to see them, still have a good rapport with each other even after coming to blows. But again, we'll just loop around here. It's again fascinating to see. And one thing that I think is interesting to note is that Michael Kesselring is wearing a University of Utah hat and a Northeastern University. He went to Northeastern, by the way. He played hockey there at the Northeastern in Boston. So interesting there to wear, University of Utah hat as well as the hoodie of his alma mater. I think that's great. When it comes down to it, I would like to see Kesselring, maybe stand up for himself a little bit more. Again, if this is the way he chooses to fight, against the Colorado Avalanche tomorrow, he's going to be in big trouble. If I were an Avalanche player and I'm looking to size somebody up for tomorrow, I am licking my chops right now, watching Michael Kesselring, fail to defend himself against Eli Carcone. So great job, Eli. Love what I saw there. Way to go. Stick taps for you, my man. Good job. And while we're talking about the youth movement, one thing that I have been saying ad nauseum on this show since, I guess maybe day 1, day 2, day 3, I don't know. I've been saying this pretty much from the start of the show, is how I really believe that getting the Utah Hockey Club here is going to transform the youth hockey scene in the Beehive State permanently. And we saw this week a story break, and there was some great reporting here. And I'm just going to cite this story from the Desert News from my guy, Brogan Houston. I think I say his name wrong every time. He's a great guy, too. He always is. I'll tell you what I like about Brogan Houston. He wears a suit to every game. He's one of the very few media members who does that. And it's kind of a throwback to a simpler time. So if you don't follow Brogan Houston, I hope you do. Really nice kid. I've had a chance to talk to him a few times. What's crazy is he's just interning for the Deseret News, and he is a fantastic writer. He is doing a heck of a job covering this team. Someone needs to talk to Kent Condon about bringing him on full time, because he's doing an incredible job. Kent Condon is the editor of the Deseret News, by the way, sports editor. I happen to know that. I've known him for a while. But anyway, so Brogan is doing a really nice job here. He covered the announcement that the Utah Hockey Club made earlier this week about plans to integrate hockey into communities, especially with this youth movement. And it's a really smart move, because I think by locking in kids, into a love of hockey, it's what happened to me. I fell in love with hockey around 8 years old, 8, 9, 10. That was like really for me, like the peak of my obsession with hockey. And that lasted for years and is having a big bounce back right now with the start of the Utah Hockey Club. But, by locking in these kids at an early age in elementary school, the Utah Hockey Club, and let's face it, they're going to be the Utah Yeti next year. They're locking in fans that are going to last them for the rest of their lives, for generations, for the next 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. These kids are going to remember playing ball hockey in PE and remember having, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of Utah Hockey Club or Utah Yeti branding component to it. Maybe a little t-shirt, some banners, some presence in these elementary school PE gyms. It's a smart move, and they're setting themselves up for long-term success by doing this. And it's kind of fun. It's such a far cry, I should say, from when I was coming up at that age, and was playing hockey. And on the Mother's Day episode we did back in May, my mom talked about, and yes, I did have my mother on the show. If you're new to the show, she talked about how hockey was something that made me sort of unique among my peers in elementary school. I was literally maybe one of two kids at J.A. Taylor Elementary in Centerville who played hockey. And so, the one day a year when it was hockey day in PE class, I was the most popular boy in the class. Everybody wanted Austin on their team. That wasn't the case when we played football. That wasn't the case when we played basketball. That wasn't the case when we played baseball. But hockey day, when the little plastic sticks came out and they rolled out the tennis balls and got the hockey net set up and tried to explain to everybody what offsides was, Austin was the coolest kid in the class. And and I don't know if any of you other guys have this memory, people who have been in that position, hockey players playing PE hockey in elementary school. But, they'd bring out the plastic sticks, and I always made it a point to bend the stick into a curve, just so I could shoot that much better. You don't play with a flat, no curve PE stick. You don't do that. If you really want to impress your peers, impress the cute girls in 4th grade, you got to bend that curve. And that was a big part of it. So it's fun to imagine what youth hockey is going to look like as the Utah Hockey Club continues to evolve and take shape and really sort of find its place in this community. I've always felt, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, that a big reason why the Utah Jazz are who they are in this community is because a lot of kids grow up playing junior jazz. I'm one of them. I played junior jazz growing up. It feels like just about everybody, in all these different cities, the Jazz have done an incredible job making junior jazz what it is, which I believe is the largest youth basketball organization in the entire country. Maybe it's just the NBA, but junior jazz is massive. Tens of thousands of kids all over the state of Utah playing junior jazz at any time. And it's fun to think about what the Junior Yeti program or the Junior Utah Hockey Club program, we'll just call it that for a year, is going to look like. I think you're going to see that evolve into tiers, into different iterations and different versions. I think, ball hockey makes a lot of sense, right? Just as an entry point for a lot of kids. Hockey, I don't know if you guys knew this, is an incredibly expensive sport to put a kid in. When you consider the cost of the equipment, the ice time, not only that, but like the amount of time that you and your family spend at the ice rink. I think my mom and sister will tell you we spent millions, maybe even billions of hours when I was growing up at the rink. So ball hockey is definitely the entry point, and to do it in PE is pretty smart as well. But I think you'll also see like teams take the ice as some version of the Junior Yeti. And we see this, like, I think basically every NHL team has a junior program at some level at their rinks. I remember we did a tournament down in Arizona when I was a teenager. And yes, there was a junior Coyotes team there. When I was living in Anaheim, the junior Ducks were a thing, the junior Kings. I think all these NHL teams, as far as I know, have some sort of junior hockey program. Here, I mean, the junior Grizzlies have been a thing for quite a while as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see this evolve and become a bigger thing, to see a junior Yeti team like a U14 or U16 team go on and, maybe they'll take their lumps at the beginning. Utah's not known as like a great hockey hotbed right now, but that might change, especially as the team continues to do well. The interest builds. You'll see more kids join the program, and just as part of the numbers game, I think you'll see some really talented players at some point come out of the state of Utah. It wouldn't surprise. I mean, there's been just a few Utahns to play in the NHL, and I did do an episode on this, and I'm talking about guys like Trevor Lewis, Daniel Brickley, guys of those ilk. And I believe Trevor Lewis is the only first-round draft choice to have been born in Utah. But I wonder in 10 years if that's going to change, and maybe that'll be thanks in large part to the Junior Yeti program. We'll have to see. Who knows what the future will bring. That's us forecasting way into the future, getting the crystal ball out and seeing way into the future. But now let's just go more near future right now. And again, we're recording this episode Wednesday night. Thursday night, it's the big one. The Colorado Avalanche coming to town, to the Delta Center. And they think they're so cool. They really do. They think they're so cool right now, and it drives me bonkers, really. And I'm saying that because, as you know, I'm assuming this is who is going to be our natural rival, and by our I mean fans of the Utah Hockey Club. It's not a stretch to suggest that, at least in the early going, and at least in this first season, and maybe for quite a few years to come, we're going to point to the Colorado Avalanche as our main rivals in the NHL. And especially if we're to believe that like the Yeti Bigfoot logo thing situation is like a point of contention as well, even more so, right? But it was funny. The Avalanche have already been here in a way. They were at the last preseason game of the year at the Maverick Center. I believe that was October 5th. And I was at that game, and I talked about how it was interesting to be there in the crowd and to see it very split, to see it very divided. Obviously, lots of people wearing the nice, sky blue of the Utah Hockey Club, lots of the rock black, all that good stuff, wearing the T-shirts, wearing the hats. But at the same time, about half of the arena at the Maverick Center was wearing Colorado Avalanche gear. And it just, even as a funny note, what I remember sitting next to, a couple of guys. I think it was a daddy-daughter did, actually. And I remember the dad said to his daughter, again, we were sitting right next to each other. He said, I think I'm just going to cheer when both teams score. I'm a fan of both teams. And I'm sure that'll be the case for a lot of people at the Delta Center. And I bet you'll see that divided crowd in a big way. I think you'll see a lot of people in Utah hockey gear, as expected. But I bet you'll see maybe half of the building also in Colorado Avalanche gear. And I think that's just a testament to what has been the closest team in the NHL for about 30 years now. But just to tell you where the Avalanche are at, this is going to be a very tough test for the Utah Hockey Club. If I were a betting man, and from time to time I do play the ponies a little bit, so to speak, I think the smart bet is probably on the Avalanche this game. And I mean, just looking at where they're at right now. So just to sort of catch you up with the Avalanche's season, they started the year 0-4 with losses to the Golden Knights, Columbus Blue Jackets, New York Islanders, Boston Bruins, the last two teams that the Utah Hockey Club has beaten. But since then, they picked it up. They're on a 3-game winning streak, but they've beaten some soft teams, let's be totally honest. The Anaheim Ducks, who, yes, the Utah Hockey Club did lose to in a scheduled loss, I would say. But the Avalanche then went on to beat the San Jose Sharks, who I believe are still winless right now, and then picked up their most recent win over the Seattle Kraken. So, it's always a tough test when the Avalanche come to town. And really, if you love great hockey, if you want to see great players, the Colorado Avalanche, they're a great ticket to see. And there's so many guys on their roster that I just love. Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen. All those guys have over 10 points to start the year. Cale Makar is looking like he might be a Hart Trophy contender. He already has 14 points, 2 goals, 12 assists for 14 points total. Nathan McKinnon not far behind with 3 goals, 9 assists, 12 points. Rantanen, 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 total points. It's a tough game, and man, I am excited. I'm going to be there. I have my free Seg Plus tickets, the tickets that you got when you signed up for Seg Plus before, I don't know, September 30th or something. So I will be there. I have crummy seats. I'll say that. I'm in the 1 goal view, area on one of the ends. So, I might miss a few highlights, but still, I'll be there. I'll be in the arena. I'll be wearing the signature hat that I always wear because I'm an egomaniac. I won't be wearing this, by the way. This is going to go in safekeeping. I only wear this for special occasions. But you might see me at the game at Delta Center. And yeah, I just said Delta Center. I didn't say the Delta Center. I'm trying to get it right. But yeah, you might, if you see me there, feel free to come up and say hi. I always love meeting you guys. It's a lot of fun. But what the bigger story, I think the guy that more people are going to be excited about seeing in this game, especially my cousin, because my cousin has a big crush on him, is Maverick Lamoureux. And if you don't know who Maverick Lamoureux is, he was called up from Tucson. I believe it was yesterday, or maybe it was this morning. But he is going to more than likely make his NHL debut against the Colorado Avalanche. And he comes at a time when he is very, very much needed. Utah's blue line is a little bit decimated right now with injuries to Sean Durzi, John Marino. They're going to miss dog years. They're going to be out for quite a few months. And, we saw Utah play very well, with blue line by committee against Boston, and then play very poorly against Ottawa. And I think a lot of those issues against Ottawa stemmed from a lack of physicality, some I guess mistakes made at the blue line. But really, I thought the issues were like some speed and physical issues at the blue line. And so Maverick Lamoureux, he's a 20-year-old guy. He's still really young in his development. He's going to make his NHL debut and fill those needs for the Utah Hockey Club. According to his scouting report on Elite Prospects, he's an ultra physical dude, and I really hope to see him live up to that against the Colorado Avalanche. It's your NHL debut, for crying out loud. Get out there, throw some bodies, be Eli Carcone, for heaven's sakes. Do whatever you got to do. I mean, if I am General Manager Bill Armstrong, and God, I wish I were. I'm looking at Maverick Lamoureux right in the eye, which I can almost do because I'm 6'5", and Maverick Lamoureux is 6'7". He's a gigantic dude. And I'm saying, dude, get out there and make yourself known. Be felt. And he, at the same time, it's going to be really important to stay out of the penalty box, which is something Maverick Lamoureux actually has been doing quite well at the AHL level for the Tucson Roadrunners. In 4 games, he's picked up 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points, but only 2 penalty minutes. And I thought that was pretty interesting because in this game, the game against the Avalanche on Thursday, I think it's really going to be decided by penalties in a big way. And just to give you some quick stats here, the Avalanche are a very potent power play team right now. They have the 3rd best power play in the National Hockey League, converting at a 37.5% percentage. So 37.5% of the time they're cashing in on power plays. Utah, to their credit, is a pretty good penalty kill team, killing penalties at an 82% clip. But and here's the thing: if Utah can win the penalty advantage and draw some penalties against Colorado, there's a real opportunity to maybe get Dylan Guenther involved, to get Logan Cooley involved, get him his first goal of the year. Get that potent power play going that we saw to start the year, because the Avalanche, for as good as they are, and they're supposed to be a Stanley Cup contender, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They're coming into, they're picking it up after dropping their first 4 games. They're a horrific penalty kill team. Killing penalties at just 65%. They're the 31st best penalty killing team in the league, which is another way of saying they're the 2nd worst penalty killing team in the league. So it seems like there's an opportunity there. What I'm looking forward to, what I want to see from my seat, which is only one goal view, is I want to see Maverick Lamoureux throwing that 6'7" frame around, maybe having a little bit of Eli Carcone in him, and helping his team out, get through those even strength minutes. And when they get the opportunity to be on the power play, I hope to see them cash in and show those guys who's boss. I don't want Colorado coming into our house and pushing us around. You take your Rocky Mountain oysters and your love of marijuana and you go back to Denver with that crap, all right? We don't want that here in Salt Lake. We're a good family town. We love good things here. We're a tough hockey town, and we're gonna show it tomorrow. At least that's the hope. But we'll see. I'm not positive I'll be able to have a post-game show for you guys tomorrow, just because I'll be at the game. so it's a little bit trickier. But the coming up, the Utah Hockey Club does play the Los Angeles Kings on Saturday night, so expect to see a post-game live stream on that right here on YouTube at SLC Puck. But hey, I'm having a lot of fun doing this with you guys. I'm loving it, as they say at McDonald's. And like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. SLCpuck.shop. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.